Canelo Alvarez is staying focused on his upcoming fight against IBF super middleweight champion William Scull, refusing to look ahead to a potential mega fight with Terence Crawford in September. Despite the hype surrounding a showdown with Crawford, Canelo made it clear that his full attention is on defeating Scull on May 3rd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Fans, however, seem far more interested in discussing the possibility of Alvarez versus Crawford than his bout with Scull. Many view the Cuban fighter as an underwhelming opponent and doubt that he presents a real challenge for Canelo. Comparisons have been drawn to Alvarez's last opponent, Edgar Berlanga, who was mostly recognized for his physical size rather than his actual skill set. Critics argue that Scull does little to add excitement to the build-up for the Crawford fight. Instead, they believe that a matchup against other rising contenders such as Osleys Iglesias, Diego Pacheco, Janibek Alimkhanuly, or Christian Mbili would have been a more compelling choice. Some even claim that a fight against internet star Jake Paul, though unconventional, would have sparked more interest than facing Scull. One of the biggest concerns about the upcoming event is that Canelo versus Scull lacks the necessary star power to attract casual boxing fans. While hardcore fans understand the significance of the fight, many believe it is not a major draw on its own. Adding to the challenge, Terence Crawford, despite being undefeated with a 41-0 record and 31 knockouts, is not widely recognized outside of dedicated boxing circles. Unlike fighters such as Canelo or Tyson Fury, who have mainstream appeal, Crawford has struggled to break into the general sports audience. Some analysts argue that even if Canelo's fight with Jake Paul had been scheduled instead, the attention it would generate might have overshadowed a future bout with Crawford. This highlights the difficulty of promoting a pay-per-view event when the general public is unfamiliar with one of the headlining fighters. The undercard for the May 3rd event is still being finalized, and so far, the only confirmed matchup aside from Canelo's fight is a heavyweight clash between Martin Bakole and Efe Ajagba. Many fans are hoping that Saudi advisor Turki Al-Sheikh, who has played a major role in organizing high-profile boxing events, will add more exciting fights to the card to make the event more appealing. Without additional star power, there is concern that Canelo versus Scull alone may not be enough to generate strong pay-per-view sales. The lack of buzz surrounding Scull has led some to question whether this fight was the best option for Canelo at this stage of his career. Despite the outside noise and speculation about his next fight, Canelo remains adamant that he will not overlook William Scull. In a recent interview with Shot 97, he stated that his sole focus is on his May 3rd fight, and that he is not thinking beyond that moment. He emphasized that Scull is a champion for a reason, and that he must first prove himself against him before considering any future matchups. While the anticipation for a potential Canelo versus Crawford bout continues to build, Alvarez is determined to take things one step at a time. He believes that underestimating Scull would be a mistake, and he intends to give the Cuban fighter the respect he deserves inside the ring. Only after securing victory on May 3rd will he shift his attention to what lies ahead. Canelo Alvarez has always been known for his disciplined approach to boxing, and this fight is no different. Despite the lack of excitement from fans regarding William Scull, Alvarez is treating him as a legitimate threat. He understands that overlooking an opponent can lead to unexpected outcomes, and he has no intention of making that mistake. Throughout his career, Canelo has faced top-tier competition and has remained one of the most dominant fighters in the sport. His ability to stay focused and block out distractions has been a key factor in his success, and he is applying that same mindset to this fight. Regardless of public perception, Scull holds the IBF super middleweight title for a reason, and Canelo is preparing accordingly. Another important aspect of this fight is Canelo's relationship with Saudi Arabia as a growing hub for boxing events. Over the past few years, Saudi Arabia has hosted several high-profile boxing matches, and Canelo's fight against Scull continues that trend. The kingdom has been investing heavily in sports, particularly boxing, to attract a global audience and establish itself as a major player in the industry. By competing in Riyadh, Canelo is expanding his brand to a new market, while also benefiting from the lucrative deals offered by Saudi promoters. However, some critics argue that fighting in Saudi Arabia might reduce the overall excitement for US-based fans, as time zone differences and logistical challenges can impact viewership numbers. The discussion surrounding Canelo's future fight with Terence Crawford has also led to debates about Crawford's marketability. While he is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, he has not achieved mainstream recognition on the level of fighters like Canelo, Tyson Fury, or even Ryan Garcia. Some boxing analysts believe that Crawford's quiet personality and lack of social media presence contribute to his lower popularity. Additionally, his previous fights have not always drawn massive pay-per-view numbers, which raises concerns about how well a Canelo versus Crawford fight would sell. Despite this, hardcore boxing fans recognize that a showdown between these two champions would be a true test of skill, making it one of the most intriguing potential matchups in recent years. While fans and analysts continue to speculate about the future, Canelo remains committed to his training camp. His preparation for fights has always been meticulous, and he is leaving no stone unturned ahead of his bout with Scull. Alvarez has been seen training intensely, working on his power, speed, and endurance to ensure he is at his best on fight night. His team understands that every opponent brings a different challenge, and they are crafting a game plan tailored specifically for Scull's fighting style. Although Scull may not have the same reputation as Canelo's past opponents, his undefeated record suggests that he should not be taken lightly. Canelo's goal is to dominate and make a statement before potentially facing Crawford later in the year. Ultimately, the success of this event will depend on how well it is marketed and whether additional exciting fights are added to the undercard. Saudi Arabia has proven its ability to host blockbuster boxing events, and with the right promotion, this fight could still generate strong interest. However, if the fight underperforms in pay-per-view sales, critics will likely point to Scull's lack of star power as a key reason. For now, Canelo is staying focused and refusing to be distracted by the outside noise. His priority is to take care of business on May 3rd, and only then will he entertain discussions about facing Terence Crawford in what could be one of the biggest fights of the year.